Imagine a poor boy from a small village working 17 hours in fields every day just for a meal. Now imagine this boy later building a car company worth 1,000,000 crore. This is the story of Hyundai's founder, Chung Ju-Yung. Chung Ju-Yung was born in 1915 in a small village in Korea. He dreamed of becoming a school teacher, but the financial condition of his family was so poor that he couldn't even complete his own education. As a child, he had to work in the fields day and night with his family. Despite the hard labor, there were many days when the family did not even have a single meal. Proper clothes and medical care were out of the question. Chung often had to go to nearby towns to sell firewood. There, he saw that people had sufficient food and wore nice clothes without having to work day and night in the fields. Seeing all this, he grew frustrated with his poverty and the life on the farm, and he started desiring a better life for himself. One day, he read in a newspaper article that a big construction project was starting in a nearby city and they needed workers. Upon reading this, his heart raced, and in 1932, at the age of 16, Chung made a surprising decision. He decided to leave his home and run away to the city. One night, Chung quietly set out toward the city with a friend. After walking about 160 kilometers, they reached the city of Guan and found work as construction laborers. The work was tough and the pay was meager, but Chung was happy because for the first time in his life, he was earning independently. This went on for about 2 months, after which he was caught. Chung's father found him and made him come back to the village to work on the farm. While the family was quite happy with his return, Chung was not. Those 2 months of work had sparked a passion for construction in Chung. A passion for civil engineering was ignited in Chung. Also, he knew that working in the fields would never allow him to escape poverty, which is why he tried to leave 2 more times. They tried to escape, but each time their father found them within days. Finally, in 1934, at the age of 18, they made their 4th escape attempt, and this time, no one stopped them. They reached Seoul, which is now the capital of South Korea. There they took any job that came their way, first as a construction laborer, then as a factory worker, and finally they got a job as a delivery boy in a rice store. The customers and shop owner were so impressed with their work that within just 6 months, they went from being a delivery boy to handling the store's management. After this, Chung worked hard and grew his hobby on his own strength. In 1937, the store's owner fell seriously ill and made a surprising decision. Seeing Chung's hard work, he handed over the store to Chung. At the age of 22, Chung had now gone from an employee to the owner of a business. Chung worked even harder in the next 2 years, building trust and reputation in the market. The business grew rapidly. Everything was going well when tragedy struck. It was World War II, and Japan ruled Korea at the time. The Japanese wanted to ensure their military had sufficient rice supply during the war, so they took over the ownership of all rice shops. Chung's rice shop was also snatched away, and the business built with years of effort was wiped out in an instant. Chung was devastated but did not give up. Believing that if I work hard with all my heart, I can be successful, he started looking for a business where the Japanese government could not interfere. Very soon, he zeroed down on the car repair business and in 1940 took a loan of 3,000 won to open ADO Service Garage. However, this time, luck was so bad that just a month after opening, the garage caught fire and everything burned down. Chung's situation was quite difficult. He had to pay off his loan and compensate customers for their losses because of the fire. A normal person could easily have given up in such a situation, but Ginjang, as always, confronted challenges head-on. He secured a new loan of 3,500 won and founded an even more efficient garage. Chung observed that the primary issue for patrons was the lengthy duration of car repairs. Consequently, he concentrated on expediting the service. While rival shops required 20 days for specific repairs, Chung's establishment completed them in just 5 days, leading to its remarkable success. By 1943, his staff had expanded to 80 workers. By this time, Chung had repaid his entire loan and had also settled his family in Seoul. The business was growing rapidly when another major disaster struck. Japan needed to produce war-related equipment for World War II, so they took ownership of his garage and merged it with a local steel plant. Once again, the business he had built with years of effort was snatched away in an instant. Chung was back to square one. He had to return to the village with his family, but this time he had savings of 50,000 won and was confident that he would start another business. With the end of World War II, Japan's rule over Korea also ended. The northern area of Korea was under the influence of the Soviet Union and the southern area under America. Because these two had jointly fought the war against Japan, Korea was divided into North and South Korea. In 1946, Chang returned to Seoul and restarted his car repair business with a new name. Hyundai Auto Service, Hyundai meaning modern, began to do well when Chung noticed the United States was constructing buildings for its military forces. He saw a big opportunity in the construction business and supported it. Though he didn't have much experience in construction, the passion for it was still alive within him, a passion he had acquired working as a laborer in his young days. Therefore, in 1947, at the age of 30, he established Hyundai Works Company and entered the construction business. In the beginning, They secured various small contracts, but by 1950, their company was receiving major construction projects, becoming their core business. Everything was going well until another twist in the tale emerged. In June 1950, North Korea attacked South Korea. North Korean troops were nearing Seoul, forcing Chung to abandon his work and flee the city with his savings. However, even amidst this huge crisis, Chung did not sit idle. At that time, the US Army was actively fighting with the North Korean Army. They needed tents, warehouses, and army headquarters. Chung observed that the Americans were well funded. They required reliable and timely delivery, and Chung provided just that to the American scope. He started over with a small team and adopted a can-do attitude, meaning if the price was right, he was ready to take on any construction project. The war was ongoing and they faced many challenges and losses, but once committed, they never abandoned the project. Due to this reliability, they developed a strong relationship with the Americans. When the war ended in 1952, Chung still received contracts from Americans, and later, the South Korean government began to rapidly build bridges, dams, and roads to rebuild the country. Hyundai played a major role in all this and saw exponential business growth. Hyundai built South Korea's largest dam, the Soyang Dam, and its most important expressway, the Gyeongbu Expressway. By the 1960s, Chung was in his early 50s and owner of a successful construction company. But he wasn't satisfied. Having built thousands of kilometers of roads, it was time to build the cars that would travel them. In 1967, Chung established Hyundai Motor Company, and in 1968 made a deal with Ford to assemble Ford Cortina cars for 2 years. The collaboration worked well until disagreements emerged between the entities. Ford was against Hyundai producing their vehicles, which caused Mr. Chung to dissolve the partnership in '73 and quickly look for alternatives. They explored potential agreements with firms like General Motors and Volkswagen to acquire manufacturing expertise, yet none of these overtures were successful. That same year, Mr. Chung managed to secure an arrangement with Japan's Mitsubishi Motors. Under this agreement, Hyundai was set to manufacture its own brand of vehicles. The highlight was Hyundai's capacity to market vehicles under its own name and design. Concurrently, South Korea's government required domestic car makers to build a vehicle for the people, affordable, dependable, and constructed entirely with South Korean components. By 1976, Mr. Chang had inaugurated a new facility where they started to assemble the nation's inaugural mass-produced automobile. Due to its affordability, this car was such a success in South Korea that Hyundai quickly seized a 60% market share and became the country's largest car manufacturer. However, there was a catch. South Korea's total car market was only 30,000 cars, which was not sufficient for profitability. Also, the Hyundai Pony was a failure in overseas markets. The cars had quality issues, the paint would crack in the heat, and they frequently had mechanical problems. And for these reasons, Hyundai Motor Company had been suffering losses for the past 7 years. People advised Mr. Chang to shut down the company as soon as possible. However, Mr. Chang's decision shocked everyone. Far from closing, he planned to build a new car factory capable of producing 300,000 cars per year. A decision the company's management could not understand. Who would buy 300,000 cars in a market of 30,000? But Mr. Chang had an answer. The South Korean economy was growing rapidly, and Hyundai's new cars were specifically being designed for export to foreign countries with a growth trajectory in mind. The factory was ready by 1980, and in 1982, Hyundai launched its Pony 2 car with several improvements. Not only was this car a super hit in South Korea, but it was also successfully exported to countries like Africa, Latin America, Canada, and the USA. In the following years, Hyundai had sold over 400,000 cars and had become profitable. Hyundai was now established as a decent car company on a global level, but the challenge was formidable, and penetrating the vast American car market remained an incomplete mission. To evolve from an internationally decent car company to a major one, it was essential to succeed in the USA. Hyundai, upon studying the US market, found that the Japanese had captured the compact car segment, and US companies were already engaged in cutthroat competition in the mid and large size market. Therefore, Hyundai targeted the virtually non-existent competition in the subcompact market. In addition, Hyundai noticed that the second-hand car market in the USA was vast. They offered their new Hyundai Excel at the price of a second-hand car, complete with a 5-year warranty. This strategy shook up the US car market. Second-hand car buyers instantly shifted to Hyundai Excel. In 1986, Hyundai sold about 170,000 Excel cars in the USA and around 260,000 in 1987. In both years, the Hyundai Excel became the top-selling imported car in the USA. No other car company had seen such massive initial success in the US market until then, and with that, Hyundai rose to a global level. Google Pay flourished comparably to a leading automaker. At 72, Chang stepped down from Hyundai, assuming the role of honorary chairman, thereafter leaving the company's direction to his brother and sons, who guided it with unyielding resolve. Presently, Hyundai ranks as the world's third largest automobile manufacturer, having sold approximately 4 million vehicles in 2022 alone. While Hyundai's reputation is closely tied to its automotive ventures, it's a lesser-known fact that the Hyundai Group encompasses a diverse portfolio of 42 distinct entities, including ventures like Hyundai, Hyundai Information Technology, and Hyundai Heavy Industries, which is the world's largest shipbuilding company, and it is because of Hyundai that South Korea surpassed Japan to become the country that manufactures the most ships. For South Korea, Hyundai is not just a normal company. Hyundai is an institution that rebuilt the country, created thousands of jobs, and gave South Korea global recognition. And all this was started by a boy from a village who lacked even basic facilities like food education. But he had immense passion, a vision, and most importantly, enthusiasm for improvement.